All right, today we're going to get right under the hood of our writing and find the one single thing that powers every single good sentence. Forget memorizing a million different rules. It's all about mastering just one core component, the independent clause.
So let me just ask you this. What is the one thing, the one absolute essential that every powerful, clear sentence has to have? Well, that's the foundation of all great writing. And stick with me, because in the next few minutes, you're going to learn how to spot it, how to build with it, and how to fix any sentence that's broken. Let's do this.
So here's the game plan. We'll start by figuring out what a complete thought really is, and then we'll see what happens when it breaks. From there, we'll look at how to build literally any kind of sentence, join them together like a pro, and then, the big finale, use all this knowledge to absolutely demolish the most common writing mistakes out there. Okay, first things first, the complete thought. I want you to think of the independent clause as the engine of your sentence. Seriously, without it, the sentence just sits there. It doesn't go anywhere. It's the core, the powerhouse that does all the heavy lifting. So here's the textbook definition. An independent clause has a subject and a verb, sure, but here's the magic ingredient. It expresses a complete thought. And what that means is it can stand all by itself as its own sentence, and it feels finished. It doesn't leave you hanging. So how do you spot one of these engines out in the wild? Easy. You just use this simple 3-point checklist. Number 1, does it have a subject, a who or a what? Number 2, does it have a predicate, the verb, the action? And the most important one, number 3, does it pass the standalone test? If you can say yes, yes, and yes, you found your engine. And that standalone test is the best tool you have. It's so simple. Just take a sentence, any sentence, like this classic. The quick red fox jumped over the lazy brown dog. Now ask yourself, can I just put a period at the end and have it make total sense? Yep, absolutely. That right there is a perfect independent clause. Okay, so to really truly understand what makes a thought complete, it really helps to look at its opposite, the incomplete thought. And that brings us to the independent clause's little sidekick, the dependent clause. Okay, check this out. A simple, strong, beautiful, independent clause. Charlie chugged the cola. It's got a subject, right, Charlie. It's got a verb, chugged. And it's a complete idea. It passes the standalone test with flying colors. It's solid.
Now watch carefully. It's like a magic trick. We're going to add just one little word to the front, when. All of a sudden we have, when Charlie chugged the cola. Do you feel that? That little shift? I call that the shutter effect. That one word, when, slams the shutter down on the complete thought, and suddenly it's incomplete. You're left hanging, asking, and then what happened? It just can't stand on its own anymore.
And this chart, it just lays it all out, side by side. The independent clause, that's your main event. It stands alone. The dependent clause, that's the backup singer. It gives you extra context, but it just cannot stand alone because it always starts with one of those shutter words. Words like when, because, if, or although. So, now we have our two main building blocks, right? Our Legos. The independent clause and the dependent clause. Now comes the fun part. We can actually start building sentences. All 4 sentence types in English are just different combinations of these two pieces. Think of this as getting the architectural blueprints for your writing. And here they are, the blueprints themselves. A simple sentence? That's just one independent clause. Easy. A compound sentence? You're just balancing 2 of them. A complex sentence? You're taking your main idea and adding some context with a dependent clause. And a compound complex? Well, that's just weaving it all together. The point is, if you can master those 2 basic clauses, you've already mastered all 4 of these structures. Okay, let's zoom in on a really critical skill. Joining 2 complete thoughts. 2 independent clauses. Now, this is a high-stakes area. This is where a lot of writers get into trouble because, the rules here, they're super precise. And don't just take my word for it. Listen to this. Misusing something like a semicolon isn't just a little oopsie, it's a structural error. That tells you that getting this right isn't just a suggestion, it really, really matters for clear writing. Luckily, it's not as scary as it sounds. There are really only 3 main ways to do this right. Think of them as the 3 punctuation pillars. First, you can use a comma plus one of the fanboys' conjunctions. Second, you can use a semicolon, especially if the 2 ideas are really closely related. Or third, you can use a semicolon, a transition word like however, and then a comma. That's it. 3 perfect, solid options. All right, now for the big payoff, the reason we're doing all this. Understanding the independent clause isn't just some boring grammar exercise. No way. It is your single greatest weapon for defeating the villains of bad writing, fragments, run-ons, and comma splices.
Because here is the secret, the key to the whole thing. Nearly all of those major sentence errors, they all come from one single failure. Not being able to see where one complete thought ends and the next one begins. If you can't identify the engine, you can't drive the train. It's as simple as that.
So what's a sentence fragment? Well, it's just an incomplete thought that's trying to pass itself off as a complete one. Remember our old friend, when Charlie chugged the cola? If you slap a period on the end of that, boom, you've just created a fragment. You've mistaken a dependent clause for a standalone sentence.
And run-ons and comma splices? They're the exact opposite problem. It's what I call a boundary failure. This is what happens when you have two complete thoughts, two engines, and you just smash them together without using one of those 3 punctuation pillars to connect them correctly. But here's the beautiful part. Now you have the complete toolkit to fix any of these errors. You can simply separate the two thoughts with a period. You can coordinate them with a comma and a fanboy's word. You can link them with a semicolon, or, and this is a power move, you can subordinate one clause, turning one of those engines into a supporting piece. 4 clear, powerful ways to fix any broken sentence.
So let's just bring it all home. The independent clause is the engine of the sentence. It's what provides all the power, all the forward motion. But here's the most important part. You are the driver. You're the one in control. You decide how to build with it, how to connect it, and how to harness all that power. Once you master this one concept, you have total control over the clarity and the punch of everything you write. So the only real question left is this. Now that you have the keys to the engine, how are you going to drive your sentences?